In this video, we're going to look at a little bit more detail about what are polyatomic ions. So if we break down the word polyatomic, it means that there are multiple atoms. So these are multiple atoms bonded together that overall form charges. So polyatomic tells us that there are multiple atoms forming an ion. So we know from Unit 1 that an ion means it's charged. Now, these multiple atoms are all going to be nonmetals. Okay, so when you have a group of nonmetals bonded together, there are certain situations in which they're going to need extra electrons, in which case they'll have a negative charge, or they're going to need to give up a couple of electrons, in which case they'll have a positive charge. So a polyatomic ion is a whole group of nonmetal atoms that are bonded together that overall have a charge, okay? And these nonmetals, when they're bonded together, they're bonded covalently. So we're looking at a blend here between covalent and ionic. So we're forming an ion, so it's gonna have an overall charge of nonmetal atoms that are covalently bonded together. So it's kind of this hybrid between covalent and ionic bonding. Now in this class, we're not going to ask you to draw models with polyatomic ions. However, you do need to be able to recognize the names and formulas. And to make this easier for you, we've given you the list of common polyatomic ions that we're going to use on the back of your periodic table. So if you don't have a copy of the periodic table, the ones in my class are blue and laminated. I also have white copies available that you can keep with you. They're all exactly the same. It doesn't matter whose class you're in, it's the same periodic table. If you flip it over onto the back and rotate it, up here at the top, there's a whole table of compounds, and it has their name, their formula, and then they're sorted by charge. So these are all polyatomic ions. And so part of what we're going to ask you to do is be able to recognize when you see the word hydroxide as part of the name, it's not hydrogen, it's the polyatomic ion OH with a -1 charge. Or when you see carbonate as part of a name, it's the polyatomic ion CO3 with a -2 charge, not just carbon. So what you need to practice is recognizing these on the back of your periodic table. You'll never have to memorize them. We won't give you a quiz where you'll have to match them. If you take chemistry down the road, you might have to do that for a different class. But for our class, you just need to know how to use them. You need to know that they're on the back of your periodic table. Most of them end in ate or ite. Some of them end in ium, a couple of them end in ide, but most of them end in ate or ite. And those are going to be your polyatomic ions. So knowing that these are multiple nonmetals bonded together, but they overall have either a positive or a negative charge.